You're tuned into the Dockmaster Mike radio show, simultaneously cast on the Dockmaster Mike Music Podcast. And my guest today is the one and only Arie Salma. Welcome aboard.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So let's talk about your background story real quick. Where are you from?
Okay, so I'm originally from Israel, the Middle East, the renowned Middle East. And my parents actually are from a Spanish region in right between Spain and Morocco there. So they came to Israel from there, and they're Spanish speakers. And I was exposed to a lot of Spanish music, including flamenco, including and even some Middle Eastern music and African music, because it's really lays on Morocco there in the Strait of Gibraltar. And so I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of music, worldish types of music, before I even was introduced to jazz. And I have a lot of influence. I love incorporating, because of that, I love to incorporate a lot of styles into my music. It's an important part for me to sound a little worldish in my music, you know.
What instruments do you play?
I play few instruments. My main instrument is piano and keyboards, but I can play some I started with guitar really, so I never really polish it to a virtuoso level in guitar. But I play guitar, understand guitar very good. Let's put it like that. And I can play bass. I can play some flute. I can play percussion, and some bass. But all these are not in a level where I would expect, sometimes to be heard. So I would bring others to do that, some professionals to do that even better. But many times I laid my own tracks when I needed,
Yeah,
not on other instruments.
honestly, like when I heard your album, when I received it, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, I don't usually go through each album and add every title from the album because they're they just don't fit our radio channel. So I received your album and I went through it. I was like, oh my gosh, this album is amazing. So,
I
and
appreciate
I'm
it. I
not saying
appreciate
that
it.
because I'm on the phone with you. There's a lot of good artists that I talk to that have some one or two songs that stand out. But your album, for the most part, I think we've added almost every song onto our rotation because to me, it is that good. It covers smooth jazz. It covers not just smooth jazz in itself. I love the tempo. I love
There
the
is some funk in it. There is some pop in it. There is some elements of I mean my first love is to jazz rock and fusion, because of the element of rock. And I love yacht rock as well. I love Steely Dan is like one of my favorite bands in the world, so
yeah.
very versatile in that.
The fact you said yacht rock makes I mean now I feel a lot more connected with you. I actually run a group, a large group. I feel like I say this all the time in my interviews, which is the biggest yacht rock page on all of social media. So
Oh,
I
I
don't
would love
know
to
if
join
this
it.
is just a chance meeting, but if you look at yacht rock, you go on Facebook, you'll see the group, and I'm the
I will.
administrator of the group. So I'm not saying that to promote yacht rock. I'm
No, no,
saying
of
that
course, of
that
course.
almost because you mentioned it as one of your musical samples. My radio channel, on the other hand, is based off of smooth jazz. So it's smooth jazz. Yeah, there's some artists like Steely Dan, some of the jazzier stuff from like, we play some of the jazzier stuff from the Doobie
Bobby
Brothers.
Caldwell, things like that. That's a bit of
Exactly.
jazzy, yeah.
It's more like you could call those artists if you don't call them yacht rock, you could even call them Quiet Storm
Yes,
or
yes,
some of those
yes.
artists because a lot of the people that recorded with those guys, Greg, Philip Gaines, I'm just
They were
naming
jazzy guys. Yeah, that's true.
exactly. So it's more than just the period of 19,
I mean,
seven.
Larry Carlton, for God's sake,
Oh my gosh, Larry
yeah,
Carlton, Lee Ritenour, uh,
many others.
Dean Parks. I mean, I'm just
These
naming
guys,
guitar players, but
yeah,
look at the keyboardists. I mean, you mentioned, I think Donald Fagen as a keyboardist is just,
he's very unique. He's a phenomenal musician. And also talking about him, I like his solo work, which
hmm
is superb. It's just so good. I mean, I
Nightfly.
wish I would hear more of that style nowadays in the radios. Like, but as you said, in stations like yours, you can hear a lot of stuff. So it's good.
Yeah. And my station really is just honestly like, and I don't usually give away my formula. There's not really much formula to it, but it's anything that's kind of in that year, in those years span. But also it includes a little bit of new wave, but the softer side of new wave, like double or you know, I mean, I'm just giving things that are out there that kind of uh, go hand in hand with some of these artists, and even though they're not the same chord nuances, there's a sound that you're going for.
I have to tell you that one of the reasons I fell in love with this station is because I looked at the repertoire and it was so good. It was so tasty, tasteful. Yeah.
And we're always looking for artists when it comes to new music, if it fits in that category. And your music, the first thing I thought was Jeff Lorber when I heard some of your
You
music.
know what? I admire Jeff Lorber. I admire him. He is. I admire those people that brings the jazz not in a necessarily too heavy way. On the other hand, don't compromise with quality. And nowadays there are not. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but there are many that compromise with quality and make it a little too redundant, I should say. But he's one of the quality ones, and he's a serious artist, and I really dig the guy, and the people he plays with. Actually, people that played with him are on my album that play with him. Jimmy Astley plays in his band. Gary Novak plays in his band. So, and Randall Clark, the saxophone player, he recorded with him. So, needless to say that I dig that type of music and type of rhythm section and sax. Yeah. By the way, Randall Clark, I think he's phenomenal. I think, I mean, I love those alto players that can sound pop, soul, but also jazz in the same time, and so they get into your heart right away, and they have a beautiful tone. And Eric Marienthal, for example, is one of the famous one in this. But Randall Clark is a really rising star, from my opinion. He's one of the most soulful players. So I'm happy to have him on my tracks.
It's so interesting that I think Jeff Lorber is the current, and I know he's been around for a lot of years, but I think he's kind of the umbrella that a lot of current artists go to as a pinpoint. You got the greats like Herbie Hancock and all these people, but Jeff Lorber really sounds like he's just like the pioneer of the smooth jazz sound, West Coast sound. And again, we saw Adam Hawley in concert on Saturday, and Adam Hawley plays with his band is with Cat Hawley, and he plays with different session cats. And he talked about a recording that he did with Jeff Lorber and Jason Jackson, who's another saxophone player that plays with them. And again, I think the saxophonists tend to fall under like their own category, but most people aren't familiar with names such as Randall Clark, Jason Jackson, Everett Hart.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, absolutely.
And so those guys they play in the pocket as well. So
they play in the pocket and they can transcend in both jazz and in both pop and soul. And not many can do that this good. It sounds like totally in the pocket of soul and pop, but also be completely jazzy. And that's a combination that I really like to work with. It's kind of, I mean, I appreciate also people that are unique to one style, but the ones that incorporate that, it gives something different to my ears. So yeah, absolutely.
And by playing in the pocket, I mean they're just
So they're tight.
it's like interesting because you'll hear the notes played with like the guitar notes and the saxophone notes.
They are super tight. Yes, absolutely.
And like I just think that it adds an element of the music that I don't think people are doing. They're always trying to replicate those sounds.
By the way, Jimmy Astley, the bass player, is known for that. I mean, he has his own style of playing, and his playing is so much in the pocket of what's going on. Besides of being very musical, that's what earned him a name in many sessions and contemporary bands.
Yeah, Vincent Hendry is another one that I think of as well.
That's true.
So I mean, going back to your album though, honestly, your album to me is a heavyweight release. And so I was like, I gotta get this
Appreciate
guy.
that.
I need to get him on the show. Not just for, not only to broaden your audience, but to also just to, it's just such a good, like, contemporary smooth jazz all around release. And I hope that anyone that's listening goes and listens to Through the Clouds from beginning to end. It's just such a great album.
I really, really appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. And I'm thankful for your appreciation of it. It comes. I tell you something. When I sit and write stuff, and it's true also regarding my previous album, which was more kind of Brazilian style, but it also hit very, very good airplay. Um, I don't sit and look for material. I kind of walk around, and suddenly something comes in my head, where I feel it, some kind of motive. And when this comes, I already know that if I liked it, there must be somebody else that will like it, because it came to me intuitively. It didn't come just, I wasn't searching for something, and so this is the way I write my songs. Like, I know that at least they came to me in a certain way, which was very intuitive. And so I expect them to at least, I mean, nobody would ever like, you wouldn't have 100% of likeness, of people liking, but you know that if it came to you in a native way like that, there would be people that would love to listen to it, you know. So that's my way of writing usually. I build on intuitive motives that come to my head.
Yeah, I mean, I when I first heard it, I was like, who is this guy? Like, I honestly thought I was listening to, like, again, I'm going back to Jeff Lorber. I thought I was listening to a Jeff Lorber album. I was like, wait,
Yeah,
this is
it's very. I got inspired a lot by him in this album. Much less in the previous album. There I was more inspired by Brazilian different things, but this time I have to say that I was inspired a lot by his style and approach. And so kudos to him, man. He's amazing.
and Shack Attack.
Oh, I grew up on that stuff. Shack Attack, even Sade.
Yeah,
Some people, I love that style.
right.
I just love it. It's so smooth and so tight and so soulful, and as we said, Steely Dan and things like that. So I grew up listening to all of these things, and many jazz players would tell you that they listen to bebop first or things like that. Or my first albums that came in completely. My first albums were George Benson, Breezing. I mean, imagine that. And then later on, Chick Corea, Light as a Feather. So
Whew.
you can see how I started upside down. Later on, of course, I digged into the traditional stuff, but this was my inspiration. You know, and this was the best time of smooth jazz. I'm talking about George Benson. I mean, um, here's something that might sound biased, but I appreciate any kind of music, of course. But my private taste is to organic music. I don't mind incorporating here and there loops or samples here and there, but I really appreciate the real playing, the real organic playing. How you say to hear how the artist is struggling to create something, when he plays or when he solos. I like that. And in the world of now, where you have all this AI and all this, that's a big subject for itself, of
It
course.
sure is.
I'm one of the advocates for this kind of approach. I would love to have as much as real playing, as opposed to too mechanical and too. But that's my taste. Everybody has their own. I appreciate every kind of good music. My approach is to look for natural
Yeah,
in many ways. Of
I
course,
think.
I play on digital keyboards, but that's still
Well, of
considered natural for me.
course. I mean, you're looking for those sounds, and I mean, I think flagellant is probably the term that I'm thinking of when it comes to what you're talking about, because you want the flagellant notes. That way, you can the person that's the artist chooses, like, hey, I'm gonna hit this note, and then they strike this note that they didn't really know they're gonna reach what they weren't intending, and then that.
Exactly, and that's what jazz is all about. If you go back to Miles Davis,
Hmm.
the great Miles Davis, he was talking about it a lot. That there's no really a mistake in jazz. It's based on experiments. So you gotta have a skill that when you hit something that sounds weird, you go from that and make something nice from it. It's
Exactly.
like a chef that makes food, but he's talented, and so he makes experiments during this work, but he knows that the experiments would lead to something good because he knows what he's doing. And so jazz is a little bit like that. You're not necessarily planning every note, but you know that you can play around with it and make it. It's like talking, right? When we
Mm-hmm.
talk, we're not planning right now every word that we're saying, but we're not worrying about if a word was, out of the line or not, or not the best sentence, but because we work with it, we massage it to bring what we want to. And so jazz is like that. It's a language. It's a language, and I wish for people to explore it much more. I know that there are some young people that have an amazing taste and amazing talent too. I hear a lot of talents nowadays, and it makes me feel happy because I want to spread the knowledge of jazz as much as possible. I have my own group as well. Me and some friends, we have a jazz rock fusion group. So I'm trying to also bring a lot of material to people's ears. And it just I believe in jazz as a messenger. You know.
It's really interesting you brought up Miles Davis because the first thing I was thinking about with Miles Davis isn't so much his music, it was his approach. So if Miles Davis was alive right now and he heard half the crap that was being released, oh, he would probably never play music anymore because
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
when like you said, he would take chances on notes because he would play so fast in one era, and then when things started getting a little bit more syncopated, he adapted. And like they always say, there's different eras of Miles Davis depending on the age that there was, and he had a hard time when proficient trumpet players such as Wynton Marsalis, and I'm just throwing names out there, Chuck
Yeah,
Mangione,
yeah, I know the stories.
where like
Yeah.
you hear the notes, like they can hit the note like where they're like mechanically trained, which still is already nothing against their talent, but where
No,
you
of
hear
course.
him that it's like it's like a different chef, and it's because he was so eccentric and he was so avant-garde.
He loved his experimentation. He loved. I mean, look what he created. He created genres. When he started with tutu and all this kind of music,
Yeah,
it came
exactly.
out of nowhere. Of course, with the help of Marcus Miller, the phenomenal. But it came out of nowhere. People were, what is this? Herbie
Yeah.
Hancock as well. He's a very pioneer of changes and evolution. And these people are amazing because they're not stagnant. They like to. They're not afraid to experiment. They basically create. I mean, Miles Davis is one of the creators of fusion music, of jazz rock music, because he did something that sounded so odd at the time, so different, and people were like, "What is going on?" But
And
it started
Shikaria,
to.
my gosh, that's another guy. When you
Oh,
said
Shikura.
him, how you
Do
went
you
from
see this? Do you see this
oh
behind me?
yeah.
I mean, he's my idol, absolutely. What a maestro.
I mean, just from like when you said, and you're like me, like I got into smooth jazz through again George Benson. Some of the first albums I had weren't the early George Benson. It was "Give Me the Night," stuff. And then when you start realizing who performed on it, you're like, hey, wait, produced by Quincy Jones. Oh, wait, that was, I mean, you start naming people that are on there.
Oh,
Jerry
great
Hay
Quincy.
performed
Oh,
on
yeah.
there, and
What a
again,
talent Quincy was.
oh really? You know what? I actually ran into him one time when I was younger. I ran into him. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I was passing. I was walking into a bathroom at the Shrine Auditorium. I was
Wow.
working catering. I think I was 24. He's walking
Wow.
in. I was walking out. This was in 1993, I want to say. And the first thing I told him is like, "Hey, Quincy, I really love your album Back on the Block," which he released in 1990.
Wow. I'm amazed that you said that because this is one of my favorite albums. What an album. Oh my God.
And you know what he said to me? He said, "Oh, that's a few years old. Oh, that's an old album." And I was
Ah.
like, I just was like, because that tells you where they're at. He wasn't into like, oh, well, look at my body of work. He was like, yeah, I'm moving on to my next project. I think by that point he was working
Oh,
on the
that's a
Juke
great
Joint
approach.
album. But seeing him and talking to him, he was so humble. And then later on, a few years back, I was doing another. I used to live in Los Angeles for a lot of years. Grew up in Los Angeles. Haven't been there now already. My wife and I are in Las Vegas. Our channel has moved from Malaysia to Washington to Oregon to Las Vegas. Started in Southern California. So, but I actually went to Quincy Jones's house later on. I didn't meet him there. I met one of his assistants, and to go into his house, and it's like it's just. So Quincy Jones and some of these people. They were so personable, even though they were like so established. It wasn't like Michael Jackson where you were like a fanatic, where it's like you can't be around close to these people, where
Right.
because they're so popular that they're almost their fans are
Yes,
dangerous.
popular to a dangerous point. Yeah. Yes,
So
absolutely. Yeah, when we were behind the scene, it's a little more comfortable. You don't have to. I mean, not necessarily will be recognized everywhere and pointed everywhere and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Quincy Jones is the real deal. Absolutely. I even go back to. I mean, I can listen to Frank Sinatra forever, especially the stuff that he did with him, the orchestral
oh
and
yeah,
with George Benson on the
yeah,
guitar and
exactly.
oh, what an amazing era.
Yeah.
So much taste.
Well, let's talk more about your music. We could keep talking about all of our favorite artists, but let's talk about your album. I'm going to talk to you about, ask you about some songs. Um, First one is "Through the Clouds."
I tell first of all the idea of that. Um, my father passed away like about 8 months ago, and the name that I put to the tune, it came from when I was flying back home after he died, and I was actually literally looking through the clouds and having these thoughts and feelings, and there were mixed feelings of sadness in one way, but on the other hand, of of hope and inspiration for music and what I'm supposed to do in my life. And so I took the name from this, and it's basically dedicated. I didn't say it, but it's basically dedicated to him. And the woman that plays, the singer that sings, that scats on this song, her name is Teka. She's from Santa Barbara. She's one of the best, from my opinion, one of the best Brazilian singers out there. She's amazing. And I had her in my previous album even more. I think like 4 tunes or something like that, 3 or 4 tunes. And here I had her for two, and she captures the real timbre that I like to hear in Brazilian singers. So I love her timbre, and so I she was the base. My idea of I mean, if she wouldn't want to do that, I would probably have more singers to approach. But I was so happy when she agreed to do it again because I really love her sound. And so one another thing about this song, I noticed later on, not when I was writing it, not in the beginning, that it does resemble Shack Attack a little bit, because because I grew up on this music, and then one day I'm like, wait a minute, there's something in the melody that you can't deny. It takes you somewhere close to that, and it's not copying it or something, but this is the vibe, maybe with a little bit more modern or and Brazilian approach. But this is I was definitely inspired by that as well. And so I love Brazilian music. I'm not Brazilian, but there is something in Brazilian music which is so real and so jazzy as well. Naturally jazzy, and to have a folklore music which is so jazzy, for me it's like wow. And the harmonies that they have there, and the scatting and the melodies. Um, Talking about that, one of my idols in that genre was the great Hermeto Pascual, which died not long ago as well, and he was a genius. And Flora Purim, the singer, which used to sing for Chico Rea as well, and I grew up listening to this thing. And so it reminds me a little bit of my Latin heritage, even though I'm not Brazilian, but I love that music. And so when I hear samba, I
Hmm.
start being alive, living, feeling alive. So,
Yeah, I think of Tanya Maria, like ba 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 ba
oh,
ba
she
da
was
ba
amazing.
ba,
She was,
zabba da ba. And so when you hear like improving and yeah, it's scatting, but I don't even know if some of those artists. I feel like they were organically doing it. I don't think it came like, oh, well, we listened to, I mean, I could be wrong. Like, oh, we listened to, Ella Fitzgerald and this. I feel like they might have, but I feel like it's just coming directly from
yes, Brazilian
organic.
is real, absolutely. Tania Maria. I mean, listen to all these syncopations and all these rhythm ideas in her music. It's definitely part of her blood and soul. It's not something that she has to think about. And so, yeah, I listened to that a lot. It was very, very happening back at the 80s as well.
Hmm.
Great music,
Lonnie
simply great
Hall,
music.
like,
Yes,
oh,
yes.
yeah. Bah,
Yeah.
bah,
Oh,
I mean,
amazing. And going back to Jobim and all that,
hmm
this incredible library of music. You can just educate yourself on most of music just by listening to all that stuff. So
even Frank Sinatra, going back to the one note samba,
that is
it's almost like he had to
true.
turn it white. Like,
And Stan Getz on the saxophone, he
oh,
explored it a lot. Oh, what a player!
that was a
So
different era. It,
yes.
let's talk about Catwalk.
Okay, so Catwalk is okay. My wife would say that I basically wrote it for my cat because we have three cats and one of them is like totally mine. It's a ginger cat. It's getting old already. It's like 15, imagine. But I had this idea of that beat, which was
Yeah,
and so I felt like somebody is like gripping and
yeah,
walking,
with the shoulders.
and it reminded me of cats. Yeah, exactly. And so I decided to call it Catwalk because of that. And I love this beat. And if you listen to the beat, you would also feel my inspiration from the era of Chick Corea Electric
hmm
Band. They had a lot of, the great Dave Weckl, he mastered this kind
Dave
of beats,
Weckl.
and so you can hear. I think that I got inspired by that as well because they have some beats like that in their electric band music, and so you see it's an incorporation of different things. But I definitely dig the groove. Um, and then when the melody came to me, I was like, okay, that's it. Da 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 da, bum, bum. It kind of it sounds like upside down, something upside down, and I kind of adopted it and said, okay, that's, and it has something, how do you say, thick in it. It sounds like you want to. It's fun. It's very funky, and so I love funk. I love funk music. One of I think my favorite drummer in funk is Mike Clark, which played with Herbie Hancock in those times. There are many great funk players, but you know what I'm saying. I like the greasy
hmm
type. I think that I managed to get a little bit of that feeling, but I love the greasy sound when playing funk. And some people play funk very clean, which is great too. But me personally, I like the greasy sound, the thick greasy sound when you play funk. I don't know why. Maybe it reminds me of the source of funk. It was very kind of freestyle and. So there is a lot of funky style in this song. So I would say it's the most funky one in the record, and because it had some kind of introductory feeling, I decided to put it first. It's also this, and then the second one are I would say they are both inspired by Jeff Lorber style of music as well. I mean, I listen to it and I dig it, so I have no shame to say that I just like it so much that.
Yeah,
I
that reminded me of Jazz Funk Soul actually. So when I say Jeff Lorber, he's a part of Jazz Funk Soul, but it reminded me of those pockets with Paul Jackson. It's like
Oh
he could have
yeah,
just it could have been one of their songs. What I'm saying is to your credit as a songwriter and on this album, it's just so solid. And these songs they just hit
thank you.
different. I mean, they are next level and I hope your audience or I hope an audience finds your music and like can appreciate it. Even if they don't, it's just such a good work of
Thank you
just
for helping me in that. I
collection,
appreciate
man.
every support.
I mean, honestly, like I mean, the thing is your music appeals to a broad range of different styles to the more not as sophisticated listener as and also to the sophisticated listener. Kind of like jazz funk soul can like you're sitting there and you're grooving, right? Sometimes if it's jazz, like you said, bebop's hard to listen to if you don't know what you're listening to. So sometimes bebop is like, it's just a bunch of notes. It's too fast. I don't understand the rhythms.
Right, many people would say that. That's true.
Where your music, it's like, hey, like you know what?
I try to simplify. That's true. When I play, I can play crazy stuff, and when I perform, I can play. But when I want to communicate, the whole idea about music is to communicate with people. And why not expanding the range of people that are listening by doing stuff that you don't have to compromise on quality, but you can get simplified. Again, talking about Jeff Lorber ability to do that, and I appreciate that. That's what I like about smooth jazz. But let me tell you something. Um, some I am walking a thin line sometimes because I'm trying to write stuff that can hit both smooth jazz stations because there's not a lot of exposure to other jazz in radios. Let's be honest, as far as number of stations and things like that. On the other hand, I'm trying not to be schmaltzy and not to be too, uh, you know, uh, too redundant in some ways, and keep like a quality that would earn me. Uh, I mean that you could categorize it as fusion as well, and so it's a thin line because in one hand you're trying to do stuff that is communicative enough for smooth jazz stations to adopt it because they want to sell, they want to, some of them want just to have light stuff along the way, but on the other hand you want stuff that would be appreciated also as having quality, and
Yeah.
it's a certain thin line that I think I found in a way, and made me happy when I did, because I had a lot of conflict between, whoa, where is it going, why people are getting so shallow in some cases, um, and how can you get airplay if you're just doing very if you're very loyal to just being artistic but you're not communicating with enough audience. And so I like that fine line where you can combine both,
Well,
going back to everything we said, about Steely Dan and other stuff.
the best thing is that it sounds like you're in two different brains. Like, I don't think people understand when you're in the creative brain, you just throw things out there, and then you're in like, that's one thought process, but then there's the editing process where it's like, hey, let me clean this up, let me do this and that. And it seems like you found that happy medium of like, hey, you know what is going to be good enough to last, but not too watered down to where it loses the what's the word I'm looking for? It loses the purpose of what I've set out to do with
Exactly,
this
yeah,
album.
of what it's all about here. Yeah, of what I
Exactly.
came to this. Yes, it's a fine line, but it's a line. It's a place where you find, based on experience. It
Yeah.
took me a while to learn the different sides of the picture, and then to find that line. And I want one of my wishes is that smooth jazz will keep that line as well, in a sense that it will not get too redundant, and it will keep good quality music all along with being simplified enough for people to enjoy, you know walking in some mall or something, because most where you hear this music is, I don't know, airplanes and parties and resorts and businesses, and so many people are listening to it, so you cannot be too harsh sometimes, but if you find a nice line between the two, I think that's an approach that I really like.
Yeah, and you do it good enough to where like you're not having to play like a cover of whatever. That's another thing about smooth jazz stations too. Like, there's a lot of people that'll do like a safe song, like, hey, let's do a cover of, I don't know, Don't Look Any Further, or whatever song that someone can recognize that way. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, I know that Motown song, or whatever song that comes from like Stevie Wonder. Again, we after seeing Adam Hawley in concert this past weekend, and Cat Hawley, they're in their 30s probably, but you see most of the audiences that listen to smooth jazz, and they're older folks. My wife and I are 50.
Adam
50
Hawley is great. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the guy. He's playing with quality,
but
and
he has
I
to
think
like also adapt to the older audience that's there. Like, all right,
that
let
is
me do
true.
some, Frankie Beverly and Mays, before I let go, and let's mix in a little bit of Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and it's like you have to play to those audiences to keep them interested. If not, it's like, yeah, they can appreciate the smooth jazz, but it's
Hey,
like
it's
when,
entertainment. You got to be an entertainer. So let's face it.
and
Absolutely.
also too, I think also with radio channels as well, it's like, you tune into a smooth jazz station, if it's too much smooth jazz, it's like, you know, again, it depends on how deep you go. But if it's like, if it's some of the lighter stuff, it's easier to listen to. But if it starts going too off the record, it's like, oh, here we go.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly
Turn
what you're
off.
saying.
It's time to change it. I need a breath of fresh air. That's why
Yeah.
some of them will put in Captain Double, Captain of Her Heart, or Candy Dulfer with you know, like stuff like that, where it's like a little bit
Yeah.
more. Dave Stewart, I was thinking of Candy, and I'm going into late '80s now, jazz. But
Yes. Yes.
what
I
about?
mean, that's why I appreciate stations like yours where you can hear this good music and I mean, I'm going to spread the word a lot because I like that repertoire that you guys have there. It's really good stuff.
We just go out there and cause trouble. That's what I feel like when I go
Well,
on the air.
I love Vegas, by the way. Where are you guys in Vegas?
We are North Las Vegas, so
Yeah, I mean, I visit Vegas quite often. One day we can interview.
yes, you got to reach out to me for sure.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
Vegas is slowly becoming a market for jazz. It hasn't really had a jazz market, so to speak, because it's been either like vintage bands, like everything. It's turning more from a tourist town into like a residential area because it's just grown so much in the past 2
It's
years.
beautiful, and I give you a little secret. Me and my wife sometimes we have thoughts of one day moving there. So I mean, it's not far from LA, really.
No, it's
So
not close enough.
so
Where are you
it's
at? Where are you located?
West Hollywood,
Oh,
where the big guitar center, the only big guitar center left there.
LA is, if you're there and living there, it's like you're part of, like, you have to stay on top of that. The I hate the term rat race because it's not a rat race, but it's like you have to earn a living enough to keep yourself afloat,
Yeah,
and
it's not easy. It's not the
especially
prices
West
here are
Hollywood.
the prices here and the housing
Woo.
and the rental, both rental and purchase are
Oh.
astronomical. So in most California or the shoreline of California, so it is, and God bless we can rent sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
but I manage. I do look. I do a lot. I'm not shy of doing whatever it takes to not to be a hungry artist. I'm good in computers as well, so I do computer work as well when needed. Um,
No, you're definitely doing your thing, and I hope to goodness that you're going out there. And I hate to say these places, baked potato. Some of these they're like
oh
flooded
yeah, I
with
played
it's,
there. It's beautiful. Yeah.
but they're like it's always Larry Carlton or like
Oh yeah.
I know some of the
Catalina
people.
Berenguel as well. There's some good vibrato.
Vibrato, yep.
Vibrato is a great club. Yeah.
Trip Santa Monica is a place I used to run sound at a long time ago, and they were
Oh.
trying to make that into a Santa Monica beach area jazz place, and it never quite took off. The owner of Trip sold it to someone else. Julian Coriel used to have a residency there. Julian
Hmm.
Coriel, and sometimes he would play with Joe Sample's son.
Wow.
And man, I've ran into people there. I was like, who am I? Like, do you see who just walked in? And Larry
Yes.
Coriel, obviously a jazz legend.
Wow.
But these
Oh.
guys that play with Julian are all top notch. And then I'd go to another show. It's like, hey, that's Andy Sinisi drumming for Missing Persons. So
Wow.
again, they're just trying to make things work. But there's so many aficionados I think that go under the radar because people are still looking for the Larry Carltons and the Lee Ritenours.
Yes. You know the way of when people have some names and just people just know them because of the names or because of who they specifically played with. And sometimes I ask myself a question. There are many people that have the name because either they are still alive from
Mm-hmm.
the great era, or either they played with I don't know what Chick Corea or played with this. I like another bass player that I played there. In my first not first, but the previous CD, Carlitos the Puerto,
Mm-hmm.
and he played with Chicorea. So people that play with these people, they earned a good name. And right when you look at it nowadays, okay, so who's the next generation? How will I mean, they will be known for some maybe, but are they going to be that big in the name like these people were? That's a question that sometimes I ask myself. Maybe yes, maybe no, but it's not like the time where you had the electric band. And I mean, God bless Yellow Jacket still exists, of course. It's a great
Yeah.
band.
Oh, those guys. Woo.
But you had Weather Report, and you had all these
Oh,
bands where
Jocko.
people that came out of all that stuff, they were like, okay, he was with that, and he was with that, and Mike Stern with Miles Davis, and
Mm-hmm.
so you know, interesting topic.
Well, and I think, but what I'm saying with your music is you're that good, and your music's that good, and as good as any of them. So,
Oh,
as
thank you.
anything that I
I'm
can do
humbled
to put
to hear.
your music in the ears of people to understand it is like, that's part of why I do what I do. And again, I hope people even listen to me, much less to consider what I say to lead them to artists like you. And there are people that listen. There's people that that are influenced, and you'd be surprised. Like we connected. You found Pacific Coast Radio. I found your music. We connected.
It was very intuitive. You're right.
So that's the thing about. I think influence goes a lot further than what we might understand at first, because being in any kind of industry, especially when you're an artist, is the first thing is self doubt. I don't know if I'm doing this. I'm not making money. I don't know if
Yeah,
this.
absolutely,
This other
absolutely.
guy's more
Well,
popular than me. This other guy's not as good, but then he has all the gigs.
hey,
Everybody.
more than that, how about this other guy that's doing construction and he's a multimillionaire? And
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
like,
Like, yeah.
why
You know
did
what?
they
I
choose
want that
music?
job. Yeah. Exactly. Look at me. I live over here in North Las Vegas. There's someone that has a ranch over there on that side, and then just like right, like West Hollywood. Here am I in my apartment, but dude, you're in West Hollywood. Shoot, my wife and I, when we were in El Segundo, I lived in a studio apartment.
Oh, it's beautiful
She
there.
had a one, but we were right by the beach. And oh man,
Uh-huh.
I mean, again, you understand the West Coast sound. You understand because you're on the West Coast. So many people dream and envision what the West Coast is like, especially yacht rock circles, West Coast AOR. You'll hear these terms because people want to dream of being in California. They dream of an era that doesn't exist in real life. When you're there in real life, you're like, when you're in California, it's like zoom, 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 traffic, traffic,
Yeah.
traffic. Let me get over here, you motherfucker! Like whatever it is.
You
Then
know,
that's where that's why everything.
honestly, sometimes me and my wife are just going out of town just to either if I'm playing with somebody or but either if we just want to get out of town just to change the perspective, because
Yeah.
when you're locked in this kind of perspective, you forget sometimes, you know, different kind of nature, different kind of people, different kind of approach to life. And you're right. Here it's very fast. It's very
And
fast.
there's too much going on sometimes. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, but that's why rock and roll does well in West Hollywood at the Sunset Strip, and like that's why metal lives over there at the Rainbow Room. And it's like you would think that would be a perfect place for jazz, but see that there's so much noise over there. Same thing if you go to Marina Del Rey, right? You think, oh, let me go to yacht rock and like smooth out and go on a
Oh, I
boat.
love Miranda Del Rey.
When you're in Marina Del Rey, though, you hear the boat go by. He's playing heavy metal. Another boat goes by. Is someone on TikTok doing stripping, and it's like, hey, what the heck? So you're trying to like engulf your environment, but when you look at the environment, it's all chaos. Like,
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, I get a lot of pleasure from listening to classic rock and metal too, because
hmm
part of my inspiration is rock. I like stuff that has has the bite in it, and rock is great music.
what's really interesting about Metallica is they got their bassist, Robert Trujillo. He came and he changed their sound because Robert Trujillo grew up in Culver City. And
Hmm.
Robert Trujillo grew up around smooth jazz. And when he
Wow.
started playing, he respected those smooth jazz bass players. And so not only did he join Metallica, and yeah, he joined a metal band, but he brought the Southern California aspect and the Latin
Absolutely.
aspect to it. So they have like a lot of like
It's a phenomenal band.
almost like a
Absolutely. Very
cholo
unique.
influence. It's like, oh,
Very unique.
okay. Like I could hear the boom. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah, it has groove in it.
but if you turn down Metallica's music and you take out the distortion, a lot of it is classical French music, you know?
Sure. The fact that classical doesn't have any improvisation in it is what would make me a little bit shy of it, because I like music that you can improvise, jazz, rock, whatever. I wish there would be a little more guitar solos nowadays, but improvisation is for me is very important.
Exactly. And I
So
and I think also playing guitar solos, I have a lot more respect for an artist that plays the guitar solo clean without a bunch of distortion. Anybody can noodle and anybody can go out there. I mean, I'm not knocking any guitar players because as much as I would love to be like, oh, those metal guitar players, all those guys were proficient, man. Like it was like an era of like over the top abundance of like these excellent
yeah.
guitar technicians. Like, I mean, you name them. Everyone from Eddie Van Halen to George Lynch to like, I mean, all the
You
CC
will not
DeVille.
believe who is my highest idol of guitar, Alan Allsworth. I mean, of course, he was like an alien. He's like was really out there, but the guy was a phenomenal musician. I mean, in both rock and jazz rock and whatever, and he was a musician. In order to appreciate Alan Allsworth music and not to get like, oh, what the hell is this, and run away, you have to be a musician. It was that big. So I don't know if he I mean he knew he was great, but he was always like he was a very real person. He was shy of some things, and he liked his private lives many times. Um, but he was incredible, Alan Allsworth. And of course, it's not for every ear. I know that it's not. It's definitely not smooth. But the element of rock from the time he used to play with Bruford and other. He's just like one of a kind. By the way, Jimmy Haslip that plays on my album, he played with him a few years too. So
Yeah.
it takes guts to play with Alan Allsworth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, and then I went to Chaffey College. Frank Zappa used to go to Chaffey,
Oh, Frank, the
and
great Frank. Oh
and
my
like
God.
I had somebody that I had met one time. He was a trumpet player, older guy, and I mean older, like 25 years, and went to school with Frank. And then you start realizing, like, hey, wait, I think I'm a lot more mentally like Frank Zappa than I think I am. Like when you start
Oh,
listening,
Frank
because he's a
Zappa.
nut. Like when you listen to his music, it's like, what is this shit? And then you start really
Genius.
getting into his catalog. You're like, oh, I see. Oh, I understand. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, he was
That's
this
where George Duke became so good.
dude. He took George Duke.
Oh,
I mean,
mhm.
everybody he played with.
Yes.
S-
Yes. The vibraphone player. She was insane. The
Yeah,
xylophone player. I mean, xylophone player. Incredible. And so yeah, I grew up on that too. There were amazing bands at the time. Brand X with Phil Collins. So many amazing fusion bands that back at the time. And I remind myself to listen to the old stuff all the time because stuff came from that. It's not like if you can listen to just modern stuff, but you would miss a lot if you don't go back to the source from now and then and hear where it came from, the organic creation of fusion music.
yeah. Especially again going back to Jeff Lorber. It's like his new music is great. It has like a lot of different elements in it. But listen to his first albums. It's like, oh shoot, like the
They were all
drum,
good. It's
the
true.
drums are like a lot more organic.
And
Like
one thing about them, he always nailed grooves. He always made you dance with it. It's very good in creating groovy music. So that's one element that is very very important. You
yeah,
gotta feel like it moves you. You
exactly.
gotta feel that, yeah, that you have some kind of dance feeling when you listen to something. And so is very good in that too. Yeah, he's a great person too. Very nice guy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was lucky enough to talk to him face to face, and just he was just
Hmm.
really cool. Paul Jackson too. Again, I
Yes.
mean, the
Yes.
best thing about smooth jazz is that if you are part of the smooth jazz circle, you will meet people, and these people are the ones you want to meet. Forget
That is
the Jack.
true. They're very cool guys.
Forget the big superstars that everybody like the Post Malones. Nothing against them. I'm just saying, I'd rather meet
No,
the
I know Post Malone is great, but that's mega exposure.
well,
Yeah,
and
I
if
know.
they're just so popular, it's like, again, you're just another face to them. Like a perfect example, and I'm not trying to keep on talking about other artists, but you can go up to Gene Simmons from Kiss. Oh, I grew up with your music. I bought your album, and then he's almost like, yeah, well, you and another 2 million people bought my album. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yes,
well, yeah,
that's a
everybody
different
likes my
sphere.
music.
Yeah, I
Everybody says
know.
the same thing. It's like, well, no, like I'm not telling you that because I'm blowing steam up your ass. I'm telling you that because I actually, as a 12-year-old, and then you're like, you know what? They probably hear this over and over. It's like no appreciation. Where Lorber, dude,
Yes, yeah, he's famous, but he's not
but
famous
that guy
enough
knows how to play,
not to be humble. Yeah,
and he knows how to
and
perform. He's not a marketing genius, and Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm not knocking it. God, there's nothing I can say that's gonna sound right, but I'm saying it like
no, you're saying good things. I dig that.
it's good to be
Good.
in a good presence with good company and good music that you're in the music's your music's in that same realm as
Yes,
well.
I give a big appreciation to people that I know in the genre that are so human and so nice and so heartwarming people. So I
Exactly.
definitely appreciate that.
So your album Through the Clouds, where can people find it?
You can find it anywhere. In of course in the regular outlets like of course Spotify and Apple and all and Amazon. If you just put my name, which always easy to remember because of sounds like Salma Hayek. I mean, you can spells like Salma Hayek, and but you can also it's also played now in many of the radio jazz stations, and I think right now. It's played in like 19 global, at least 19 global jazz stations around. Thanks also to the Smooth Jazz Network. They're very helpful. I know them already from my first,
Ellen
from my
Kepler.
previous album.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Ellen
they're
Kepler.
very good marketers and very good, very knowledgeable and connected people.
Sandy
And
Shore. I'm name dropping now.
oh yeah, yeah, she's awesome.
Well,
And
you know what's really interesting. Not to cut you off, but I talk to other jazz stations, especially like the ones that are terrestrial, like on the air still, they don't even know who the heck I'm talking about when I say Sandy Shore, Ellen Kepler. So there's still a big audience out there that still needs to be needled together, and I think you're doing it.
absolutely, I'm all into. You know, another guy that I like in Europe is in Germany. It's the Jazz Crusade network.
Huh.
Yeah, and he's. If you go to my website, my Facebook, you can see. He actually put an hour of my music not long ago, which is really nice. He put my first album first and then compiled the others. Is also very helpful. Very very nice guy, Mr. Schultz. And so that's it's a good station in Europe. They broadcast a lot in Spain as well. So
A big jazz audience in Spain as well.
oh yeah, absolutely. There, yes. David Magram is my friend.
Oh my God, David Margram,
Yeah,
Nacho Valenciaga. Yeah,
yeah.
David Margram is.
I got some good connections with some very nice people, so I appreciate
Yeah,
their help.
David Margam, man. I mean, these guys put out good music all the time, and oh, I could just keep going on and on. Um,
Yeah, they're messengers. See, they know how important it is, and they to bring it to people, and that's what I appreciate as well. You're right.
I love those guys, man. I feel more connected than I think I am, especially by talking to you. There's times where I talk to some of the artists, and I'm like, oh, it's like pulling teeth. But with you, it's like, ah, it's just great. Again, the appreciation. I feel like smooth jazz is another understanding when it comes to people, and I really love your album. And is there going to be any vinyl pressings available?
I'm gonna weigh that option. It's not a bad option, but so I'm gonna give it a thought. I thought about it, but I will see. I will let you know definitely if I'm going in this direction. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Well, Ari, I just want to thank you for joining me. Everyone, check out Arie Salma's current release, Through the Clouds. It is 8 tracks of just beautiful, smooth jazz goodness. Look him up online. Arie Salma, he has a Facebook page. He
Yeah,
also has
and
a website.
harrissalma.com is also a website.
I was gonna say he has a check him out, ariesalma.com. Look him up on Facebook. He's on Apple Music, he's on Spotify, he's on all the outlets that you can think of. He's on smooth jazz stations across the globe, and he's also on Pacific Coast Radio.
Percent appreciation and kudos to your amazing station.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you spending your time with me and having this great conversation. And you've been tuned in to the Dockmaster Mike Radio Show, simultaneously cast on the Dockmaster Mike Music Podcast with special guest Arie Salma.